One thing that's going to be really important for you to understand before you start writing your argumentative paper is what is the difference between a persuasive topic and an argumentative topic. Most persuasive topics can be turned into arguments. And so if you start your rough draft and your topic ends up being one that is persuasive, understand that it probably can still be done. You'll just have to refocus the topic in some way, but depending on what you pick, it might take a lot of work, it might not take a lot of work. So the more you understand before you start writing, the better. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some persuasive topic ideas and how to change them into arguments. So a persuasive topic would be all teens should go to college immediately after high school. Or violence in video games is bad. Or the minimum driving age should be raised to 18. To change those into arguments, teenagers are facing too much pressure to attend college immediately after high school. Video game violence is often a gateway to disturbing behavior in real life. And driver's education programs across America need a drastic curriculum change. So those persuasive topics are persuasive because usually if you have a persuasive paper, or many of you may have done a persuasive speech in the past, you have a claim that's often based on opinion. So you're not backing things up with facts, you are more so basing everything on very general opinions. They're not always substantiated. This is what you can think of as propaganda. There's an emphasis on pathos in the next presentation that is required for this week that you have to view. I'm going to go over a few terms: logos, ethos, pathos, and kairos. And you'll learn more about what pathos is, but just know that persuasive topics tend to be mostly pathos. They might have a little bit of ethos, but because they're so much opinion-based and propaganda-based, they have very little logos, and some of their ethos is a little bit sketchy. And they often present only one side or a biased view of the other side. So if we go back to those persuasive topics, all teens should go to college immediately after high school. It's really presenting this idea of there's two choices. Teens should or should not go to college immediately after high school. And you're saying they only have the one choice. It's that they should go to college. And that's not a bad idea to begin saying, I want to write about this topic. But if we look at our argument, teenagers are facing too much pressure to attend college immediately after high school. We've taken that same general idea of what people should do once they turn 18 and are no longer seniors in high school, but we've made it a little more complex, and we've focused really on one of the issues with going to college or not going to college right after high school. If we look at the second one, violence in video games is bad. If your thesis is anything like something is bad, something is good, something should happen or should not happen, then that should be a signal that you've probably written a persuasive thesis instead of an argumentative one. So with this one, to make it more complex, we say video game violence is often a gateway to disturbing behavior and real violence. So now, instead of just saying it's bad, you are emphasizing one of the bad things about video game violence. And our last persuasive topic, the minimum driving age should be raised to 18. Again, you're saying something should or should not happen. That's usually a persuasive topic. So if you think the minimum driving age should be raised to 18, ask yourself, well, why am I thinking that? Well, one reason you might think it is because driver's ed is not very effective. And so that gives you your argumentative topic idea. Driver's education programs across America need a drastic curriculum change. Now, certainly within that topic, you could say part of the curriculum is that driver's ed should not be taught until senior year of high school. And because of that, the age needs to also be raised to 18. But this is just going to give you a much more in-depth, thoughtful topic than the first one. With arguments, you have your claim that you present through a thesis, and it's substantiated. So it's a relevant claim, and you have sufficient evidence. You support that claim multiple ways in the paper. You emphasize logos. Again, we're going to go over these terms in the next presentation, so just kind of remember the general idea now. You do still use pathos and ethos. You're using all of them, but now logos is the main one. Pathos is included, but not the main one. And ethos you establish in multiple ways, through the tone, through the knowledge of the subject, and through using strong sources. Arguments should have warrants. So how does your evidence support the claim? So you can't just say, here's my claim, and here's why the claim is valid. You have to go into a little bit more detail. Backing, so support the warrants. This is where you give your sources, your examples. Anytime you feel like a paragraph needs more development or an essay is too short, add more examples. Examples that support any of your ideas are great because they're a way to add your own voice, because you can come up with your own examples. And they're also a really great way to make the reader more engaged in your topic. Counterclaim, that is an opposing argument. You will have to include one counterclaim in your argumentative essay. I think I call it a counterpoint on the assignment sheet. But adding a counterpoint really shows that you understand another facet of the argument that maybe is for one of the opposing sides. And then a rebuttal, that's where you respond to the counterclaim. So you either refute the counterclaim, you say, okay, a lot of people who support another side of this topic, they believe this, but here are some flaws in that. Or you could even, sometimes concede. You can say this is actually a very valid point. However, it's not enough to fully support this other idea. So remember, persuasive topics tend to focus on a binary, a positive or a negative, a right or a wrong, change or not, good or bad. Argumentative topics take a persuasive idea and create a more focused problem, allowing for multiple sides and supporting points. Really, one thing that you guys want to remember is the ultimate goal of a persuasive essay is to get your audience on your side. That is not the goal of an argumentative essay. You can write a really great argument that's strong, and by the end of that essay, the audience says, okay, well, those are some really interesting ideas, but you don't have to convince them that that is the end all be all. You're not trying to get them to do anything. You're just trying to give them more information and ideas on a topic. So remember that you do not actually have to make, you do not actually have to make the audience agree with your point to have written a strong argument. Whereas if you don't get your audience on your side at the end of a persuasive essay or speech, then it's considered that you didn't do a good job.